Hey there, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're back here at day 18 with progressive rock albums from the 1980s. For those of you who don't know what we do here, I'm doing a 31 days of progressive rock albums for which I have not heard before. 31 days, 31 bands, no more than one album per band. And basically I'm giving a listen to the album once and then giving my opinion about it. So this is all new to me. There's basically 4 different categories. There's bands I've had listened to for a very long period of time. Some bands who I've had some albums but have listened to for a bit shorter of a period of time, and then bands I've heard of and bands that I know nothing of, and I'm listening to one of their albums that I've never heard before. So the album I've chosen today, or the band for today, or the album for today if you prefer, is Marillion's Clutching at Straws, their 4th studio album. And I believe this is the last album with Fish. I'm pretty sure it's the last one. I'm a little not 100% sure because I know he did do some writing on an album that came after the last album for them, but I'm not sure how much, if any, if this is the album or not. I know he's the vocalist on this album. They've had 4 albums, so I'm assuming this is pretty close to the end if it isn't. Okay, so we have 11 tracks on this album. This is a solid album, as good as any of the first 3, I think. And I've owned all 3 of the first ones. Script for a Jester's Tear I had in album form. Faguzzi I think I had in album, and then I may ended up with it in cassette as well. And Misplaced Childhood, I definitely had that one in cassette. I remember that one. And this one I've not owned or heard before, so this is the only Fish era one I think I didn't get into. Some great keyboards on this album. Lots of keyboards. Like if you like organ dominated keyboards or some piano keyboards or just plain keyboards, you will like this album. I'm sure of it. It's a very progressive album. Lots of really intricate instrumental play between all the musicians, who are all pretty good instrumentalists. The drummer, the keyboardist, the bass player, the guitarist, all really good at their instruments. It's a pretty melodic album. Like the songs go along fairly melodically. Some parts that are more mellow, other parts a lot more heavy. Some great guitar work on this album. Some really good keyboard work on this album. Fish's vocals are very good on this album as well. I have always thought of Fish as sounding a little bit like Peter Gabriel and a little bit more like Phil Collins, but with his own kind of vocals to it as well. So he gets bits and pieces of them, depending on the song. You get a little bit of each of those 3 elements in his vocals here. He's a good lyricist. This is a story of a drunk, I believe, from what I've heard and what I've listened to, about a drunk who's kind of down on his luck and stuff. So anyways, we're going to start with the album kind of doing a little bit for each of the songs as well. So the first song is called Hotel Hobbies. By the way, I gave a 6 or 7 or an 8 to every single track except for the last one, which is only basically just laughing. So Hotel Hobbies, pretty heavy song, but has some mellow synthesizer opening, and it closes in the exact same way. So it's got this mellow part to open, some pretty heavy stuff, and then some mellow part to close. Really good track, really catchy beats, I like it. Warm Wet Circles and That Time of Night, The Short Straw, in brackets, are kind of have some similar lyrics between the 2 of them. There's no separation between the 2 either. I think it just goes from one into the other track, so it's pretty difficult to figure out where it ends and where it doesn't end, or where the other one begins. It's got a mild opening again, some nice sounds and bits to this. This particular track. Fish's voice is strong on this track as well. Just a really solid melodical Marillion song of that era. The second part of that, the time of night, the short straw, a good keyboard and synthesizer opening again, a bit mellow. Then the song builds, some nice keyboard solos in there. And the first time they used the clutching at straws line shows up on this particular song. It does show up in other tracks as we go along as well. Just for the record is the next song out. Pretty heavy instrumental opening, and then some really good riff and melodies here on this particular track. Some interesting keyboard build-ups as well. Then we got the White Russian, which is one of my two favorite tracks on here. I love the drums that he does at the beginning. Some real good interplay between the instruments here, progressive and full of riff and melodies. Just some really good solid vocals and some synthesizers mixed together here. And they're a bit more subdued and quiet in this particular part of it. And then you have a build up of a guitar to the guitar solo, which is really good. Really good, yeah. So I gave that an 8, and that one and Incommunicato, which is the next song, were the two I like the best. So the middle of the album I like the best. And in this case, it's probably side 1 and then side 2, because this album was released just prior to the onset of CDs. Okay, so Incommunicato, a nice keyboard opening with some really heavy musical riffing. The keyboards are just really off the charts here, I think. This may be the best keyboard part on the album. Some heavy and catchy kind of track. It's a heavy and catchy kind of track, is what I'm trying to say. So anyways, then we move on to the back side of the album. Incommunicato was the first song on that side, but the back side we begin Torch, the Torch song. Now, Torch is the character, I believe, that they're talking about here. This is a more this is a more of a subdued song, I think. Almost like a depression, I guess. The keyboards and the synthesizers play that part. They give that kind of heavy atmosphere. And then there's some radio voice in the background and coughing, so he's probably hungover and getting out of bed, or he's sitting on his bed drunk and coughing and probably smoking cigarettes and listening to the radio. That's what I think about this track. The next song, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce this. It's called Slanty Math. So maybe he can't read because he's got his glasses broken. I don't know. Piano, then there's a nice kind of piano begin at the beginning, and then some ripping drums and guitar here. Really good. It's a very methodical song, and very repetitive guitar and instrumentation here. It's just another great track. I like it a lot. Like it. There's no letting up. All the tracks are either good or great. There's no really bad ones on here. The next one's called Sugar Mice. It's again another quiet opening. They tend to open quietly quite a bit, and then the guitar and bass are very very strong. And the song, but it's a slumber song. It's a song that kind of is a bit heavy, Then breaks into another guitar solo with some very heavy rhythm sections to it. So basically he's doing a guitar solo, but you can they keep the riff and the rhythm section going. Good track. And the last straw, which is actually probably really the last track. The other one is just called Happy Endings, or They're Laughing. That's it. So this track, it's kind of poppy. It's probably the more poppiest song on the album. A bit of mild instrumentation here. Yeah, it's not one of the better tracks. There is a bit of a female voice here, at least that's what I'm hearing. So there's a heavy voice, and then there's some heavy vocals, and then there's this kind of female voice. So they may have got some female to sing a part on this particular track. That's what I'm guessing. And then of course it ends with Happy Endings, which is just the laughing. But overall, the album is very good. If I was going to give it a rating, I would give it like an 8 or a little bit more. It's going to definitely finish in the top albums when I do the ranking at the end. There's no doubt about it. Really, really good. So most of the bands that came from that neo-prog will probably do very well so far. Palace and IQ have gone already, and now Marillion. And all three of them have had solid upper echelon albums for me in this series that we're doing. So another really good album. Definitely is on my list now. I eventually want to collect all the Marillion albums, at least the ones with Fish on it. I'm not as big a Steve Hogarth fan, but to be honest, that might only be because the only Steve Hogarth album I've owned and listened to at any kind of length is the new one, which, let me see if I can find it here. Marillion, where would that be? I'm not seeing it. Is this it? No, that is not, definitely not it. Where can you be? Maybe this one. Let me see. Nope. Nope, I do not know where I put it. It's not where I thought it would be. But it's a newer album. It may actually be up in the too big an album for the racks thing. But anyways, it's the new Marillion album. Listened to it quite a bit of time. I did do a review on it as a new album. I didn't care for it too much. It didn't really sound like this Marillion, and so it's going to have a tough time. But other than that, it's not really fair to judge a guy on one particular album. Maybe the other albums are better, so I will give them a listen to over time and might have a better view. But definitely the first 4 Marillion albums, really good stuff. This one is no different than the other 3. It's really good. I like it a lot. So anyways, there you have it. So Marillion on day number 18 of progressive rock albums from the 1980s. I hope you like this video, please. If you do, like it and subscribe. It really is much appreciated, and just you can get more content. You can hit the bell, and you'll see my stuff more often if you want to. It's up to you. It'd be great. And anyways, I hope you have a good evening tonight, and this video will come out tomorrow morning. You'll see it tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. like all the other ones. I've been pretty consistent with that. Usually I screw up somewhere at least once, but I've been pretty good about it, and I'm going to stick to it. So anyways, we will talk to you later. Have a good night. Bye.